So I wanted to make an update to my Dungeons & Dragons video because that's been getting a lot of views because I think lots of people want to know how to play D&D and they look it up on YouTube and blah blah blah, but the most important part about playing D&D, the most fun part about starting to play D&D, is making your character. So I wanted to give you a few of my suggestions for how to make your D&D character worthwhile and fun. This isn't going to be a video about how to actually fill out the page. There are lots of others on YouTube that explain it really well, but this is more of a theorizing video of how to make your ideal character. So the first step, I think, is to consult the party or go it alone. But I think it's important to consult your party first if you think that you should all go it alone. And what I mean is, you can all make your characters beforehand and then they come together and it's just not really working. Or you can consult with each other, say, yeah, we're going to make our own characters, they're going to be whatever we want them to be, and we'll deal with the consequences of them not filling in the gaps of a typical D&D party. A typical party typically consists of a tank kind of character that can take a lot of hits, a character that can stand back and strike like a ranger or something, and deal lots of damage at once, a character that can kind of move around a lot and lead the party and do lots of damage like that, or minimal damage, I guess, and then a character like a wizard that can hit lots of enemies at once. So those are the 4 archetypes of a party, but I've been in parties that can have 3 strikers, a tank, and a leader, and they really don't need a mage because they have the strikers. So it just depends. It's just important overall to consult the people that you're playing with before you start making a character, because you're going to be playing with their characters too, and you want to know how your character is going to relate to them in a role-playing way. So then step 2 is, how experienced of a player are you? Ask yourself this, because you wouldn't be watching this if you were an experienced player, but generally, do you have experience with role-playing? Do you know what kind of character you want to play in terms of their personality, their likes and dislikes, where they come from in a fantasy world, what race they are? You could start with that, or maybe you only know the class. Start with those aspects, and if you're a really new player to the game and you've never played, I would pick a race or a class and then match up the best class or race to that parent. So an elven ranger or a dwarven fighter. Third thing that I would suggest is to know your options, because a dwarf doesn't always have to be a fighter, but there are fighting kinds of classes that they could be instead to make the character more unique. There are lots of guidebooks, not just for D&D, but for other games. You could be watching this video if you're playing Pathfinder, or I don't really know all the other games, but you know what I mean. There are lots of different races and classes that you can choose from, and consult with your party first if they feel comfortable with you being some really weird race. Just look at all the options that you have, because you could find that you really connect with a certain race or a certain class that isn't in the first basic book. Step 4 is to read through the material and do your math. You want to make sure, I think, your first character is quite balanced. You don't want to be lacking in any specific area really badly. I played with this character once who, we were rolling our stats randomly, and he had -8 8 charisma. So when he rolled for checks, he had to subtract 2 from that check, I believe. It was just bad. He just was a very not charismatic dragonborn, and that kind of affected some of our role playing. But if you don't mind that, roll your stats randomly and roll with the punches, I guess. But I think it's important for you to know how to build your character, first of all. Know what stats are important for your class and race, so that when you're adding up the rolls that you made for your stats and putting them into specific, you know, slots like intelligence or charisma, you know which one is going to work best for who you're playing. And the final step, which is probably the funnest but not the easiest for early, you know, players of the game, is to flesh out your character. Your character isn't just a bunch of numbers or a drawing in a book that you're kind of fiddling in your mind about. You need to establish some sort of backstory, I think, for the game to really feel more like a story that you're telling and living, and not like a recreation of a video game. D&D is a really amazing game in that you get to really immerse yourself in this world that you've created as another character. So characters have backstories, they have families, they have friends. You can try and talk to your party about if you all know each other, if a couple of you are like best friends and then the other two are like new members of your adventuring party. What kind of party are you? Are you an adventuring party, or were you hired by an army and you're on your first mission as being a part of that army, of the Royal Navy or whatever? I don't know. Just figure it out, flesh them out, and you're gonna have a lot more fun playing, trust me. And that final step can go on for, you know, sessions upon sessions, because after every time you play, you're probably going to want to add more detail to your character. And it'll make role-playing a lot more smooth, because you're going to know how your character is going to react, and it's not just going to be you reacting. So yeah, that's basically all I had to say about making your character in Dungeons & Dragons feel more real and how to actually make your character. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you hate me, let me know. I don't know why I said that. I must be really self-deprecating today. Thanks so much for watching, and check out my other videos for other nerdy topics, and yeah. Alright, bye! Look into living in places like Queens or Brooklyn, which are completely fine, and that's where a lot of people live anyway. A lot of cool, hip people that you want to hang out with.